If you struggle with RDLs in terms of your back hurting, you feel like you're never in the right position, or you just don't feel your hamstrings, you can use these tips to basically help kind of problem solve that. So again, the same as my previous deadlift video, this is very much the same. Shit start, shit finish, okay? Basically being, if you're in a position where feet are super wide, back is super extended, and you're trying to start from here, you're never going to get success. You're only going to feel kind of painful positions. So we need to start from the right position. Yes, everyone's different, but there is some ideal parts to start with. In an RDL, you want feet underneath your hips, okay? The reason being is you don't want anything sideways pulling. Yes, you can do ones for more drawing. We're doing the more traditional. Feet in line with the hips and the knees, everything in a nice straight line, okay? And then from a back perspective, if I'm going here, so if I'm from the side, what I want to be is, again, naturally you'll have some females who are slightly tilted like this. This is absolutely fine. If this is how you are, that is okay. However, this, with the chest is pointing out, the arse is back, is very rarely a natural sitting position for you. You get some people like this, a little bit more curves in the lower back. I work with women like that all the time. But we need to be aware of what the natural position is versus what an excessive position is, okay? If I start like this, I don't want to be finishing in a position like this, and vice versa. So, like the deadlift video, if you haven't seen it, the first thing you want to think about is keeping the barbell close to the body. One of the most common mistakes I see is people reaching the bar away from their body. So they'll do an RDL, they'll do this. The bar is reaching in front of them. As soon as you do that, the back is now taking the stress. So as soon as you do that, the back is now under pressure, and you'll find it hard to even lift just the barbell without either pain or at all, okay? So the aim here is to, again, keep the barbell brushing down the thighs the whole time, okay? So if I initiate doing this, so rather than reaching out, keep the bar against the body, you have to brush your legs every rep, lightly touching the shins as well. Back up. On the way up, you might lose it slightly. That's fine. That's more common. But as long as it's not coming out here, it's against the shins. Back up. Okay. I'd highly encourage you to do 3-second negatives. So 1, 2, 3, pause. 1, 2, back up. Tempo like that when you're first getting the hang of an RDL. One of the next most common faults is rather than reaching the bar ahead of the body, you actually just kind of reach down. Okay. So you just bend down through the spine. Like so. This is a Jefferson curl. It's a different exercise altogether. It's not inherently dangerous, but it's inherently dangerous if you aren't used to doing it with load. So again, if you don't push your hips back and your hips stay perfectly where they are and you just reach down your spine, that's going to fucking hurt. So here, your aim is to push your hips backwards, okay? If you haven't done this before, it's quite tricky. It actually does get easier when there's a bit more load on the bar. You're going to push your butt towards the back of the wall until you feel your tippy toes start to lift. Once you feel that, you've gone too far, okay? So again, I'm gonna push my butt back and my tippy toes are still down, okay? Back up. Butt goes down, tippy toes still down, okay? This then springs the question, where do I stop? Everyone is going to be different. Some people, when they push the hips back, they'll push the hips back and they'll already be down past the knee. That's absolutely fine. Other people will be mid-shin by this point, other people will be upper thigh. It depends on your limb length. So push the hips back, keep the toes on the floor, don't let the toes go off. As far as you can get, back up. Usually for me, it's about mid-shin or just past the knee for the majority of people. You can go further if you add a little bend to the knees, a little bit more glutes worked here, but that's a little bit more of a difficult skill. If you're still struggling with keeping the bar close to the thighs, very similar to the deadlift, you can set up a band that basically low down at an anchor point. If you're lucky, you've got a bar on the bottom of your rack like I have, put it against there. If you haven't, put a dumbbell, wrap it around the dumbbell first, and then hook it around the end of your bar. The only reason to do it is because it's an absolute faff for me to do it. So if you want to see it, go watch the deadlift video. Principle's the same though. So you're going to stand up. This bar is getting pulled away from me by the band, okay? So it's really easy now to pull it into my legs, into my thighs. And I want to think about snapping that bar around my thighs, bending it as hard as I can. I'm still going to form my RDLs though. So to keep my big toes down on the ground, I'm going to push my butt back, keeping that bar pressed into my thighs, hard as I can. Back up, pushing my butt back, keeping that bar pressed into my thighs and my shins. Again, not allowing the band to pull me out here, keeping it against my thighs. If you're still struggling about shifting your hips back without losing your position, going onto your toes, you're going to use this band to basically cue your hips back, but still be able to focus on having your toes down whilst doing your RDL. So you're going to step into a band. I would typically use actually a black or a purple one in this case. I'm only using a red just for example. So the aim is it wants to be roughly level, maybe slightly down below your hips, and to be sat into your waistband. Then you grab a kettlebell or set dumbbells, entirely up to you. And the aim here is, as I stand up, I've got tension on my hips pulling me back. Again, that's why black and purple will be better, because the idea is that it's going to pull me back as I reach down and I push my hips back into it. This signal is going to help me feel more balanced but I'm not going to rock off my toes again. I'm going to make sure I keep my toes pressed down into the floor, stand back up. Again, getting that little signal from the band with each rep. This is a way of feeling what I want you to do rather than me just telling you what to do. So the next two faults are kind of like excessive motion, basically. So a lot of people, they actually do an RDL really well. They'll go down here, but as they come up, they'll do this weird kind of stand up. See how my chest is flared and my lower back is arched massively? I've not actually stood up, okay? But I'm in this kind of weird position here. They'll go down again, they'll kind of stand up, chest through, pulling themselves back as tight as they can. All I want you to do to correct this, stand up straight. Stand up straight and hold the barbell. How would you stand? That is your finish position. You don't need to be in a position like this where you're pulling the bar so hard into yourself and you're arching your back. Where would you start from? That is the position. There are so many coaches that will tell you about ribs stacked and all that sort of stuff. That is important, but that's hard to visualize, okay? So start in your standing position where you would. Not many people have a shitty standing position unless they are literally built this way, and then we'd have to correct them. The majority of you, stand where you are, that is your finish position. So again, I stand here, I go down, stand. Also, this also includes none of this. Do not be humping that barbell. If we are talking about flaring the ribs, so flaring the ribs basically is my ribs are pointing forward. If I arch my back, they now point up towards the ceiling. Same my pelvis, basically that will now start to point downwards down here. So it's like a set of headlights is now facing downwards rather than straight ahead. So what you want to think about here is like I'm making a sandwich between your pelvis and your ribs. You want to think about squishing them together, okay? Squishing the sandwich down, squishing the burger down so you can actually get pressure in there. This is not covering bracing. This is just talking about putting your ribs in the correct position. So from here, here. The easiest way to do this, a couple different ways. If you punched in the stomach, you wouldn't be here, you'd be here. That's the first one. Women specifically, you're about to piss yourself, you need to hold yourself a toilet. There's not another petrol station with a toilet for another 10 miles. Brace, like that. Away from this position, more this position, form your reps from there. The last one that's excessive motion is this shrug at the top. So some people will do a lift, this happens in deadlifts as well. They'll do their RDL, and they'll get to the top, they'll do this shrug, because they're trying to get extra motion. It feels like it's the right way up. So get to here, you'll lift up like so. Let the bar pull your arms longer. Imagine you're on like a torch machine, your arms getting dragged to the floor. Let that happen naturally. You do not need to be holding the bar any higher than necessary. Relax, get off the phone. If you remember holding the phone up to your ear, get off the phone, nice and simple.